This time period first sees the end of the Swedish Empire in the face of Russia's rising power, and comes to a close shortly after the adoption of a new constitution by the Riksdag. Let's take a look. Charles XII rules over Sweden in 1700, and his youth had the Tsardom of Russia itching to challenge Swedish supremacy in Central, Northern, and Eastern Europe. So Russia led an alliance, including Denmark, Norway, and Poland, Lithuania, against Sweden in the Great Northern War. Early on, Denmark-Norway was knocked out of the war with the Peace of TRAJAN Treaty, and the 1700 Battle of Narva saw a decisive Swedish victory over the Russian army. 6 years later, while Russia had overtaken some Baltic towns, Charles XII and Augustus II of Poland-Lithuania reached the 1706 Treaty of Altenstadt, forcing Augustus to renounce his claims to kingship of Poland and to declare void his prior treaty with Russia. But then, things took a turn for the worse for the Swedes. Charles failed in his attempted march on Moscow and lost to Russia at the Battle of Poltava, and this prompted Russia's aforementioned allies who had been knocked out of the war back into the war on the side of Russia, and Sweden faced losses to all of these foes, with Russia even occupying their Finland component. The war mostly ended with the death of Charles XII in 1718, and the 1721 Treaty of Nystad formalized the new reality. The Swedish Empire is no more, and Russia is the new major regional power and a new voice in European affairs. While signaling the end of the empire, Charles XII's death marks the start of the Age of Liberty, with Charles being succeeded by Ulrika Eleonora, who was both elected by and who restored the previously held power and then some to the Riksdag, the assemblage of the representatives of the estates of the realm. Ulrika abdicated the throne to her husband Frederik I, who ruled in this new limited sense. 1741 saw the attempt, instigated by the Swedish political party the Hats, to retake the land taken away in the prior war with Russia. This failed badly and saw further land taken and the naming of Adolf Fredrik as the heir to the kingship, so when Frederik I dies in 1751, Adolf Fredrik was installed as the new mostly figurehead king. He dies in 1771, and his son Gustav III becomes king before seizing control in the bloodless revolution of 1772 and establishing a division of powers between king and Riksdag and the new 1772 instrument of government. And he further strengthened monarchical power with the 1789 Union and Security Act, which abolished many noble privileges and opened governmental offices to the masses. Gustav III was assassinated in 1792, and Gustav IV Adolf became king, and he reigned until 1809 when a coup removed him shortly after Russia had occupied Finland. The coup resulted in the adoption of a new constitution by the Riksdag, the 1809 instrument of government curtailing the powers of the king, and with Finland no longer Sweden's, it became a component of the Russian Empire as the autonomous Grand Duchy of Finland. Gustav IV's 60-year-old uncle, Charles XIII, after accepting this new liberal constitution, became the next king, but his health didn't allow him to govern, and his soon-to-be successor, heretofore one of Napoleon's top generals, governed in his stead from 1810 onwards. Charles XIII saw his title transition to King of Sweden and Norway with the 1814 union between Sweden and Norway, and Charles XIII was, formally anyway, King of Sweden when 1815 came and went.